I don't know where to start this morning, Emma, because there's so much going on. We haven't even mentioned the Manchester airport attacks yet.
Oh, it took them days to sort out.
Yeah, exactly right. We haven't even mentioned some of the other stories that are doing the rounds, like the striking BMA doctors, which is still going, and also so many migrant stories. A big flashpoint last night in Waterlooville, where an awful lot of people came out in support of each other, basically saying we don't want a particular housing block to have loads and loads of migrants being moved in for free.
And this is still going on, isn't it? I mean, locally, in my area, but also around the country, you're hearing about these small protests planned for this weekend, well, it's Thursday now.
There's going to be loads of them.
Yeah, there are. And the police are sort of, oh, they've taken it off our Facebook page. It's kind of a lot of different things brewing.
Yeah.
But it all comes down, and for me, the thing that you mentioned at the end there is the story of the day. Immigration fueling record population growth. This is massive.
It is massive, yeah.
Mike,
and again, what
we've
been saying this for years and years and years, and people have been going, oh, well, you know, it's just a small increase, there's nothing wrong.
Oh, it's only
really?
a few thousand on boats.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about the country unable to cope, actually. Unable to take in. It's not what your views on immigration are even. It's simply what we can actually absorb and cater for.
Yeah.
And when you see over 8... So this is 2 years in a row. So the numbers to 2023 and then the numbers to 2024. To 2023, over 820,000 arrivals. And then the numbers 2024, over 700,000.
So that's 1.5 million right there, isn't it?
98% of this was due to international migration.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else.
No.
It is international migration that is fueling those numbers. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll get to it, but when you look at the response from Nigel Farage, from Richard Tice, everybody, from Chris Phil for the Tories, talking about the pressures on local services, and public services, and on housing specifically, but also on healthcare. This is at the root of everything that we talk about.
And everything that we're talking about, and all of these protests, which are about, you know, moving migrants into areas where people don't want them to be, is all about, you know, an overflow problem. You know, it's like when you've got an overflow pipe leaking into the garden, you know, if you keep pouring water in, it's going to keep leaking.
Just can't take any more.
We can't take any more.
There's also the social cohesion aspect, where people don't feel, and then this is harder because then you can be accused of being far right, but you just don't feel.
Well, but I'm not interested in whether I'm accused of being far right, because they can stick it right up their jackset.
Absolutely, because they're not living. I mean,
the point is that, you know, in this protest in Waterlooville, there are several flats which have been custom built for multiple residency. Right, they would cost £250,000 each, and the idea is that the council is going to move a load of migrants in there, not homeless people, not veterans, but migrants. And the community saying, we don't want them.
It's absolutely...
Why should they live there for free?
It's not fair, is it?
No.
And do you remember the Pope last week coming out and reminding us, and King Charles as well, reminding us to welcome people into our communities?
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's an obvious point.
I don't remember that, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, OK, when the Pope, who has an absolutely huge, stunning Vatican entirely gated, and when he opens the gates and welcomes in immigrants into the communities, when King Charles opens up all the palaces and lets immigrants come and just live in his streets, in his local area, in his gardens, in his houses, I think then they can lecture us, because actually at the moment, everyday folk are living with all these thousands, hundreds of thousands of new arrivals within their communities. It's affecting their school children.
It's affecting everything. It's affecting, you know,
local businesses.
As you say, it's affecting local businesses. It's affecting the ability to get a doctor, to get a dentist. All of these things. You know, the kids are going to local schools. I mean, we've had stories all week this week. We had inside the migrant hotel, the Copthorne, in West Sussex, right outside Gatwick Airport, where people are living on this fantastic sort of diet of 3 meals a day. They've got all sorts of designer gear there, they're taking drugs, you know, they're coming and going as they please, whenever they want to. You know, it's an absolute life of Riley. And people are looking at that going, I can't afford to stay in a hotel like that. And if I did stay in a hotel like that, I wouldn't be able to smoke a joint in the bleeding room either. Thanks very much indeed.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
It is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So here's the new, and we had 900 arrivals yesterday, apparently. Channel migrants since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister is now at 47,780. And the migrant numbers for 2025 alone, 25,500. And we're only in we're 6 months into the year. And
we've got the rest of the summer with higher arrivals to go. I mean, we're going to hit that. The 50,000 that you're always talking about, we'll be hitting that very soon.
We will be.
A couple more fine days. In fact, that'll be in early August.
Yeah, no question at all. Shall we have a look at the Waterlooville protest while we're talking? This has come in from one of our correspondents overnight. This is a local man leading the crowd.
We did not consent to them, and we did not vote for them. This action to house illegals in Waterlooville is about as undemocratic as it gets. We demand the deportation of every illegal migrant. Send them home! Send them home!
See, that is going to be a massive problem for Keir Starmer, because that, as you say, is going to be happening all over the country. In Epping, we've now got the local council asking for a meeting with the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, asking to shut down the Bell Hotel because they think it's not fit for purpose and they don't want the people there anymore. And then, of course, Starmer's got the problem. What does he do with them then? You know, where does he put them?
Exactly.
Because this is going to become...
Can't keep moving them.
You can't just keep moving around hotels in the middle of the night and pretending that you haven't done anything, which is what they kind of, you know... And meanwhile, I think I'm right in saying since last weekend, when I started this show this week on Monday, I said, you know, Starmer's been banging on about Gaza all weekend. He hasn't addressed what's been going on in Epping. He hasn't mentioned the demonstrations which are going on. Huge ones up in Altrincham in Manchester, down in Bournemouth. There's one in Leeds, I think. There's a couple in Birmingham. You know, there's a massive march up in Scotland demanding mass deportations. You know, you can't just continue to bury your head in the sand and pretend that it's not happening, which is what he seems to be doing.
And we hear almost nothing from Yvette Cooper, who is meant to be the Home Secretary, who should be absolutely across this.
Yeah. Her great triumph this week was to introduce a new law for something that's already illegal.
Exactly.
So she goes, oh, well, now if you've got on a small boat and there's more than 80 of you, yeah, that's an offence. Well, it's already an offence, so what are you doing?
What on earth are you doing? If you can arrest them for that, you can arrest them for coming over.
Exactly.
Frankly.
Exactly. I mean, I arrest you for getting on a boat, right, and then what? You're going to come to Britain, you'll be illegal, and you'll be here twice illegal, and you can then do anything illegal that you like.
I'm going to arrest you for that stolen car if you go over 60 miles an hour, Mike.
That's
I mean,
it.
You know, don't
Somebody
drive
said
a stolen
that to me
car.
yesterday before we plank of the week. It's a bit like sort of giving a speeding ticket to the bank robbers as they're running, as they're driving off at high speed for having robbed the bank.
And also, it's not going to stop anyone. Oh, I better not go over 80. If I do 79 illegal immigrants coming over, that'll be okay.
I know.
I mean,
and also, these are people
situation
smugglers.
is completely out of control.
They are criminals. They're already criminals. You don't have to tell them that they're going to be criminals, double time criminals. They don't care.
It should be an offence to be leaving, to be launching your dinghy from France.
Exactly.
That's the offence.
Exactly. And also taking money from people in order to deliver them illegally into another country. Or
procuring a dinghy and carrying it through Europe.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible.
What on earth is going on?
So let's move to Heathrow's chaos, because I mean, when this story broke yesterday afternoon, several of us were sort of exchanging messages on WhatsApp, going, you know, this country is absolutely done.
Tell you what, Mike,
it's completely done.
Gave me happy memories of the last time I tried to take a holiday.
Yes,
first holiday, my epic trying to take a holiday.
That was the fire, wasn't it?
April or May, and woke up in the morning with a very overexcited 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, love, we're not going because Heathrow's on fire. Right. Well, it turns out there was a little substation near Heathrow, you know, that powers the whole of like the busiest European airport. Yeah. That was on fire. So now this. And this doesn't. We still don't really know. They call it a technical issue, right? Technical glitch,
something to do with the radar, which sounds quite serious to me. You know, like one thing you need to have working well if you're running an airport is radar.
Is none of this checked? Is none of this fixed and checked and monitored?
Doesn't it have a backup? They don't have a backup system. This is what we said about Heathrow when the fire happened. And of course, it turned out that it was Heathrow's decision to shut down, which they didn't have to do. They're claiming that they had to do it because of health and safety. But also,
the boss was asleep. I mean, it was the middle of the night. Why should he be awake?
He slept through it. Yeah, so this is the front page of the Telegraph. Heathrow chaos to bring days of delays, because, of course, as you know, it was only knocked out for about an hour, I think, a little bit more than that. But, of course, there's no wiggle room in any way, shape or form, because there's so much air traffic in and out of this country. So, basically, they had like dozens and dozens of planes grounded, lots of planes diverted to places like Paris. If you were trying to fly back into Britain, British airspace was shut.
Absolute joke.
Closed. Yeah. And you remember the same happened last year when there was another screw-up, and then they took longer to fix it. Yeah, it took longer to fix it. Why? Because the engineer who had to fix it was working from home.
Oh, yes.
And he had to take he had to drive a 90-minute journey to get in to fix the problem.
Mike, it's like when when you see someone open up one of those cabinets in the road and you think, my goodness, and there's some guy there with a screwdriver and he's looking at these like thousands of different coloured wires. Right. And you think, oh, I didn't realise that the entire street's electricity is powered on that, or whatever it is. Right. It's like that. I bet if you opened up a few of the cabinets at Heathrow and actually checked what the technical systems are run on, what the it'd probably be some really dodgy plug with wiring that isn't, hasn't been checked.
It'll be that old, for the want of a shoe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this needs to be looked at properly, because is Heathrow or is it not going to be taken seriously? We are I think we are Europe's busiest airports. We're a hub. We go in and out. People build connections.
Absolutely. Passengers were left on the tarmac at airports across the UK, including Heathrow, Birmingham, Gatwick, Stansted and Cardiff. Arriving planes were sent to destinations in Europe. That's great, isn't it?
Great.
Coming back into town, your car's at Heathrow, you land in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Right, how are we going to get back there?
Absolutely
and who's going to
ludicrous.
pay for it? Virgin Atlantic apologised to passengers affected, while British Airways said the problem was affecting the vast majority of our flights. Let's have a look at what Dara Brady had to say. He's the marketing director of Ryanair.
Well, ultimately, if you can't do the job, well, then you move over and let somebody else do it. This isn't the first time that we've had an issue. It's not a once-off. We've had repeated patterns, you know, even going back to the end of May, where we had delays due to short staff.
And this is now down to NATS, the air traffic control company responsible for Britain's skies. According to Heidi Alexander, the Transport Secretary, she said that continued disruption is expected. Check with individual airports for advice. Oh, great. Thanks very much indeed.
Schools broke up a week ago.
Yeah.
People are going on holiday. There are thousands of people now who are going to be affected. The knock-on over the next few days and the weekend.
It will be awful. Well, the Sun's got it on the front. Here we go again. Tech glitch, grounds UK jets, holes ruined for thousands. And that is the thing. If you're on a package holiday, it's not very flexible. No. You can't just say to the
we'll be there
carrier,
2 days later.
We'll be there 2 days later.
But can we stay another 2 days? You don't get your week, do you?
You can't. No.
And I think you're right. This is another kind of let's wake up to broken Britain all over again. Nothing seems to work. You know, just finished, what, 5 days of rolling strikes by the NHS doctors.
Yeah, right.
And our biggest airport is closed down, basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, according to this piece in The Sun here by Thomas Godfrey, the glitch that led to dozens of flights being diverted yesterday is the latest in a string of failures which should beset travellers at Britain's airports. So the most recent one, of course, the fire that you talked about back in March. Before that, another National Air Traffic Services glitch led to disruption for 700,000 passengers in August of 2023. System went down and the engineer who could fix it was working from home.
Yeah, that is...
Cost to the business, 100 million quid.
Why? Well, firstly, why was he working from home? But why is there one engineer who can fix it?
I know.
There should be a team of engineers
some bloke called Bob,
on site, living on site, pretty much, who are able to deal with this stuff, who are aware of it before it happens.
Yeah.
And you know what? This kind of stuff does such damage to our reputation.
It does.
But also you think, well, no, I'll fly via Schiphol. I won't fly via Heathrow.
Right.
Rachel Reeves should be on top of this.
Yeah.
She should be
She's
aware
been very
of
quiet
the
lately,
effect
hasn't she?
Yeah, she has been. She's probably on holiday on a freebie or something.
Yeah, probably. In July 2019, 50 flights were cancelled, dozens delayed for hours at London airports following an issue with radar displays. Well, so this has obviously been going on for a long time. If you're looking at all of this, it goes back 10 years. There's a problem pretty much every year in one way, shape or form.
And it's also incredibly worrying from a safety perspective, Mike, because, OK, at the moment they're shutting things down, which is probably the better alternative. But what happens when radar doesn't work? What happens when there's a glitch and a plane comes in and, you know, collides with another one? And this is really, really alarming.
Yeah, and this
that
affected...
Heathrow is run so badly.
Here. Numbers here, 577,000 passengers affected by this yesterday on 3,080 flights. Slowly returned to normal after, but 45 departures were cancelled, 35 arriving flights diverted, hundreds of others delayed. And so if you're flying, I mean, I'd love to hear from anybody who knows anything about what it was like at Heathrow or at Stansted yesterday, because people were just left standing around staring at screens which weren't doing anything. And at the end of the day, their holiday's probably ruined. There's no information.
And by the way, if you want to get a refund from your carrier, good luck with that, because that will take you five months.
Well, it looks like the airlines are saying it's not our fault.
Not our fault, mate.
You know, it was the fault of the air traffic control
even more
system.
fun for passengers trying to get a refund, because then you have to try and get a refund through Heathrow or something.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that just doesn't work.
It is absolutely incredible.
Joke.
Absolutely dreadful. We've got lots more to talk about, of course. 20 minutes past 6. Sharon Osbourne on the front page is looking tragic, really. I felt sorry for Sharon yesterday, because we used to know her quite well when she worked here at TalkTV. And he was the love of her life, and pictures of an amazing turnout of people in Birmingham for Ozzy Osbourne's funeral. We'll talk a bit about that as well. It's Emma Woolf, it's me. How about this from Sean in Gloucester? Another day, yet again, Keir Starmer has made me incandescent with rage with his swivel-eyed, treacherous decisions, rewarding terrorists, allowing and encouraging illegal immigrants, targeting farmers, businesses and pensioners, along with labelling us all far right. Labour will be completely finished at the next election, and I hope the country isn't ruined before then. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, there's so much unrest at the moment in the country. I don't know where it's all going to go, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere good. 20 past 6.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Welcome back to Morning Glory. Coming up to 23 minutes past 6. I'm Mike Graham with you all the way through, of course, until 10. This is the home of common sense. There's not a lot of it going on. I was just talking yesterday to somebody who, before Heathrow and the whole airport business went wrong, was trying to get a train to Manchester, and apparently there were no trains to Manchester or anywhere on the West Coast line for more or less the entire first part of the day. And they were saying that they might be expected, I don't even know if it did get fixed, but they might be expected to get fixed by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But basically, if you turned up at Euston yesterday morning, you couldn't get a train on the West Coast line going anywhere. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's the kind of thing that really runs the country down, isn't it? It does. When you know that any kind of basic travel is going to be beset by stress and delays. And you can't just get on a train and travel. You can't just get on reliably. You can't do anything. You can't, and that really puts pressure on not just the system but on everybody else. And you know, we talk about it a lot on this station, that there's a sense of kind of, you know, people are just at their wits' end. They're kind of, you know, even the cabinet, I think, was saying last week, there's a sense that the country's fraying at the edges. Well, I suggest it's not fraying at the edges, it's rotting from the middle. And Keir Starmer's right in the centre of that, because he can't get anything right either. And yet, Mike, there's still so much goodwill. There are still so many. I know this is such a cheesy thing to say. This country, I was chatting to the guy who does the fruit stall in Hoxton. Lovely English bloke, and there's so much warmth amongst Brits who still care about the country, who really, really care. Of course, absolutely right. But of course, the Prime Minister doesn't care about the country. Which is why it's sad that he doesn't care. He cares about another country. Well, he cares about Palestine. And two stories this morning have caught my eye. Front page of the Times, and this is really kind of quite ironic, isn't it? Because this is a guy that lives and breathes human rights, lives and breathes international law. He's meant to. He's now being told, actually, his manoeuvring to try and give statehood to Palestine could risk breaking international law. And this is coming from an awful lot of very prominent KCs and you know, legal minds. So this was 40 members of the House of Lords who signed this letter, who basically saying that his pledge to recognise Palestinian state would be contrary to the principles governing recognition of states in international law. Yes. So not just morally bankrupt, not just utterly inept. I mean, when he made this announcement, I genuinely was wondering, have I missed something here? Yeah. And Hamas, as you say, the reaction from Hamas joyfully predicting victory is closer than we expected in response to Starmer's utterly shameful absolutely offer. Shameful. And even Sadiq Khan, bungled kind of, did they talk this through? Well, obviously not. I think they talk it through with a few people aged about 21 and a half who don't really know anything about the way the world works. Because even Sadiq Khan, who he professes is his friend, as he told Donald Trump the other day, he's my friend of mine, actually. You know, even Sadiq Khan has said, look, you can't use statehood as some kind of condition, right? That's not the way that it works. You either have statehood because you deserve it, and he says, I don't agree with him, but he says, well, you know, the Palestinian people deserve to have it. But you know, you can't just say, dangle it in front of somebody and say, we will ask for this statehood if Israel doesn't do something. Then it's a condition, and that's not right. That's and no conditions on Hamas. He's literally done it the wrong way round. Yeah, I know. It's incredible. Why not use that kind of... Well, he has absolutely no kind of international presence or reputation. Why not use that kind of pressure to get those hostages freed? What has he been doing for months and months and months? Instead, he's ringing people like Mark Carney, the world's most boring man in Canada, to try and get him to sort of sign up to the Palestinian statehood thing as well. And it is absolutely nonsensical. We spoke yesterday to Michael Ellis, who's one of the former Attorney Generals of this country, and he made the same argument. And he said, you know, the conditions for statehood for this particular part of the world are not met. You can't just give somebody a country and say, now you've got a country. Exactly. It doesn't have any borders, doesn't have any kind of true definition of actually what it is, and it doesn't have a proper government. But it is astonishing that this wasn't actually talked through from that perspective. I mean, given, as you say, Keir Starmer's background, what's Lord Herman doing? Is he not advising him at all? This is meant to be his area of expertise. Yeah, this is meant to be his area of expertise. But this is where they give themselves away, because it's not just about being lawyers, it's about the right kind of law. You know, it's helping people that they want to help. But it's also party politics and trying to appease, you know, trying to respond to the fruit and nut party. It's all sorts of things, isn't it? Because the other thing that we should mention is, on the front page of The Guardian, the co-founder of Palestine Action can bring an unprecedented legal challenge to Yvette Cooper's decision to ban the group under anti-terrorism laws. So once again, they're getting tied up by their own hoisted by their own petard, you know, tied up by their own law. You know, they've tried to prescribe this group, tried to make Palestine Action sanction a terrorist organisation like ISIS and like Al-Qaeda.
Oh, but we'll do it in September, but not now, because they're not...
But they've screwed it up because they haven't done it right. And so, as a result of which, you've now got people, you know, old ladies getting arrested when they're demonstrating in the street. That's not the bit they need to stop. It's the bit where they're going into their, you know, aircraft hangars and military installations and actually causing mayhem and cost to the British nation.
Absolutely.
You know, people demonstrating on the streets, you know, I don't have a problem with that. And they shouldn't be arresting old people because they have holding a sign up that says Free Palestine. Shouldn't be illegal.
They're not doing anything. They're holding up a placard there, you know, even walking in a march. That's absolutely fine.
I mean, they might be ill-informed and stupid.
They're not covering their faces and having, you know, pictures of you know, parachutes on their sweatshirts or anything like that. And you're absolutely right. And it's a total waste of police resources. But guess what? Appeal after appeal after appeal. So they'll be fighting that ban in the courts. And as you say, Labour government haven't even done their sums. They haven't even checked
but this is,
what they can and can't do.
This is what he's meant to be good at. People say, oh yeah, but he's a lawyer. Well, he's not very good at that either, you know, because on the front page of the Mail, we've got a former hostage, freed British Israeli hostage, talking about Emily Damari talking about how Starmer should feel shame for what he's doing, because as Hamas, as you say, responded to the PM's announcement that victory is closer than we expected. She said it risks rewarding terror and accused Keir Starmer of a moral failure and being on the wrong side of history. Clearly, that's what he is.
Yeah,
shocking, isn't it?
It really is shocking. By legitimising a state entity while Hamas still controls Gaza, the Prime Minister is not promoting a solution, he's prolonging the conflict. And this is really serious stuff.
It is.
It feels very panicky and reactive. He's got to do this, he's got to do that. He's not... He doesn't have any kind of moral compass. He doesn't know what he's trying to do or have any aims or any good advisors around him.
And I think the problem is he's obviously been doing what he's been doing for too long because he thinks that he can pull the wool over the world's eyes now. He doesn't think... I mean, he can tell a lie every single day of the week while he's a Prime Minister in Britain. But as he goes onto the international stage and he starts lying, people go, what's this guy all about? What's going on with him? Well,
I've given up hoping that one of these lies, one of these U-turns is going to catch him out. He seems to just carry on.
Exactly right. This from Dave in South Gloucester. Can we get that bloke from Ryanair to go and talk to Starmer and tell him if you can't do the job, stand aside and let someone do it who can? He could then tell the rest of this useless government the same. Unbelievable stuff, isn't it? How about this from Pete on migrants?
Morning, Mike. Great show as usual. Pete from Derby. I can't believe what I was watching on TV last night. That the government are turfing out people that are already in supported housing, like veterans. These particular veterans have got 2 months to vacate the property. I mean, come on, how further low can this government stoop? It's absolutely disgusting. Have a great day, mate.
Pete, thanks very much indeed. Yeah, people are very, very unhappy. And that particular story is up in Bolton, which has been running for a few days. The veterans living in Constellation House in Bolton fear they're going to be made homeless after they were issued with eviction notices from the supported accommodation earlier this month. And the fact is that there's a company called Qualitas Housing. They're denying that they're going to move in migrants. But, you know, you've got to be looking at that and thinking, well, why are you moving out veterans? What's the purpose of that exactly? Why are you creating space and who's it for?
And there's another big story in the Times about this, another U-turn on the RAF migrant bases, where they have been lying. Right? I think they've been lying and saying we're not using, we're not using former migrant bases to house asylum seekers. But they're absolutely desperate. They don't know where to put them. And actually, it turns out they are.
Well, not only are they using them, but they're going to expand Wetherby now. They're going to put more people in it than there were before.
Another 400 or 500 people on a base, I think, that was designed for 800. What does that do to the local area? I mean, how do people locally feel about that?
Well, again, you're going to get more demonstrations because the people outside of the Wetherby RAF base were demonstrating last year because they weren't happy about what was going on, because people were coming and going, walking around, you know, intimidating people, you know,
Wethersfield in Essex, So the number of asylum seekers at Wethersfield in Essex will rise by more than 50%. Absolutely.
I know, because the trouble is too many of them. They've got to put them somewhere. And this is my point. If they shut them down in Epping, where the hell are they going to go? 0344 499 1000 is the number. This from Rachel. Morning, Mike and Emma. As protests continue to spread day by day, I can't help wondering how bad things have to get before this government do something. No one wants to see violence on our streets. No one wants to see that. But there's going to be an awful lot of unease and you know, tension. We saw that. We'll play more from the Waterlooville protest later in the hour. But, you know, we can see people are just really angry. And when you hear them cheering when somebody shouts, send them home, I mean, that's where we are now in this country, because this government has completely screwed it up.
they have pushed people to the point where they are saying things like send them home. And what's so sad is that these are local families. These aren't people who are in any way kind of politically motivated or driven by anything.
Are the lefties who are being shipped in by the police.
And they come in, and then it does cause violence, you know, and then night falls, and then problems rise, and we're going to see that. I think this weekend is going to be kind of a flashpoint because, as you say, there are so many protests
and there's not enough police to go
peaceful
around.
vigils planned. I mean, the one in Clerkenwell that I keep mentioning, there are families who want to protest there, and then there's local churches who say these are sanctuary seekers, and they want to have a peaceful vigil, and it's one side and the other, and then the police saying, please don't come. And
speaking of sanctuary seekers, have you seen this story in the Mail today? Liberal Democrat-run council in Richmond, which is southwest London, offering asylum seekers free gym and swimming sessions, while working residents wanting the same would have to pay £52 a month, £52.50. Richmond Council giving sanctuary seekers, that's what they're calling them, a card that gives them access to facilities and group exercise classes at 5 fitness centres in the southwest London borough. Just what you want, isn't it, when you're doing your Pilates class?
And when you've paid a lot for your...
a bucket load of money, or a spin class or something, and a couple of characters wander in from Eritrea.
Absolutely. You know. Free passes. Even the people on disability benefits are paying £30 a month for this. And these sanctuary seekers are getting local discounts on restaurant meals, just what you want, and free Spanish and French lessons.
Oh, great. Marvellous.
Well, I mean, this is Richmond, is where Gary Lineker's from, or that's where he lives, so he can welcome them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's get a voice note from John on the plains.
Morning, Mike. John from West Yorkshire here. So sorry to hear about the scenario at the air traffic control and airports and radar and what have you. But perhaps this is a bit of a sick comment. But didn't you mention a few months ago that at Heathrow and other airports, they were going to have some background music of planes taking off and the sound of holidays and all that sort of things, sounds of planes and what have you? So what did they play yesterday? One wonders. OK, have a good day. Cheers. Bye-bye.
John, very well remembered. Yeah, we did, because Heathrow said that they were going to play the sounds of an airport, right?
So what, to make you think you were going on holiday?
Apparently, this apparently was to prepare you, in case you were feeling nervous about travelling. This prepares you for the travelling experience, right? So yesterday, presumably the only planes you could hear taking off were on the tannoy system, imaginary planes taking off, and you'd be sitting there seething, going, my plane's just been grounded. What the hell is that noise? Unbelievable stuff. Shows you we're ahead of our time.
Close your eyes and think that you're going on holiday. It's all fine.
Howard in Suffolk says, Amsterdam Schiphol Airport's got 9 runways. This country is a joke. I mean, we can't even put a third one in.
But I mean, seriously, if you were a business, why would you invest in this country anymore?
I know.
Why would you?
Absolutely bonkers. Bonkers. Anyway, listen, we are here until 10 o'clock. We've got Emma Woolf and we've got loads more stories to talk about. This is Talk. Welcome back to Morning Glory. I'm Mike Graham, 6:38. Emma Woolf is here as well. Leaders of the British Medical Association... Sorry, I'll try and start that one again. Leaders of the British Medical Association's GP committee have threatened winter strikes. Apparently, they've said that they're going to tell West Treaty they will consider re-entering a dispute this autumn if their demands are not met.
Does this come before or after they say the NHS is facing its toughest winter yet?
No.
That we get that every year.
Flu
is going to kill us all.
Yeah, absolutely right. Did we have a voice note? No, we don't. Let's get Simon Calder instead, travel correspondent for The Independent, the man who is always at an airport or a railway station somewhere. Simon, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mike. I'm actually at a port. I'm in beautiful Naples in Italy, but I'm watching the unfolding chaos, of course. Once again, you and I are talking about everything going wrong at, London Heathrow, as well as Gatwick, Manchester, and all the other leading airports as a result of yet another NATS air traffic control shutdown.
Yes, I mean, are we any closer to finding out what it was? I mean, we're told it was radar related, which sounds relatively serious if you're running an airport.
Exactly. Well, NATS, the air traffic control provider, simply said, technical issue means we've had to reduce the number of flights coming into the London area. What that actually meant was it's going to be chaos across the UK. that both Nats and the government are kind of playing down how bad it was in terms of saying, oh, it was only 20 minutes or so. Actually, it was 40 minutes as far as I have been able to discern, in which basically nothing moved and dozens of flights were diverted to airports across continental Europe. And the cancellations, upwards of 150 flights yesterday. We've got another 15 cancelled today, including British Airways, a number of short-haul flights in and out of London Heathrow, and just thousands of people waking up where they didn't expect to be because they weren't able to get where they needed to be yesterday.
Yes, and like all the previous sort of problems that the airports and the airlines have had, it seems as though nobody's sort of carrying the can for it, and it doesn't seem as though anybody's got any idea of how to fix these things when they go wrong.
Well, Nats, in their defence, would say, first of all, we work absolute miracles most of the time, extracting a ridiculous amount of capacity from a very constrained system. London, absolutely the world capital of aviation, but we're working with two airports, which are Heathrow and Gatwick, at absolute maximum capacity. So cut us some slack for that.
No.
But unfortunately, it's critical national infrastructure, which is why, once again, and I calculated it was about an hour before Ryanair called for the resignation of Martin Rolfe. He's the chief executive of Nats. EasyJet, meanwhile, say they're extremely disappointed. They've also, collectively, the airlines lost a few £1 million in lost revenue in passenger care costs. And
because the airlines are blaming Nats and saying it's nothing to do with us, Gov, you know, presumably if you want compensation, you can't get it from the airline, can you?
No, air passenger rights rules are absolutely clear. If the airline is not at fault, it does not have to pay out cash compensation, but equally clear are the fact that it needs to get you to your destination as soon as possible. The trouble is, flights are absolutely rammed, Mike, and therefore aren't spare seats where you can just say, oh, OK, you didn't fly from Manchester to Rhodes yesterday, have a seat on this plane today. It's really, really tough. And of course, the airlines also have to accommodate all those passengers who are waiting for their to get where they need to be in hotels, provide them with meals and so on. So, pretty glum from all points of view.
It's going to be miserable. Tony from Sussex just sent me this. He says, morning, Mike. As you know, I do quite a bit of work at Heathrow as a black cab driver. Last night, the queue for cabs at Terminal 5 was about a quarter of a mile long. Nearly an hour's wait for the passengers. We were taking people to hotels because of flight cancellations. I took some people to a hotel near Waterloo as they were told this was the nearest hotel available. They were not very happy. I mean, you know, it's chaos. And the thing, you know, the point that Nats always make, which is, we work miracles every day. Well, that's what's called doing your job, you know. And if the system is so creaking at the edges that any small kind of glitch will knock it out for an hour, and that's not acceptable, you know. And I think the trouble with Britain and the trouble with this country is that we've got people who say, oh, cut us some slack, give us a break, we're doing our best. Well, it's not good enough. And as the Ryanair guys has been saying today, Dara Brady, Director of Marketing, if you can't do the job, move out of the way and get somebody in who can.
Yeah, absolutely. But Martin Rolfe, the boss of Nats, survived the appalling August bank holiday meltdown when thousands of flights were cancelled, hundreds of thousands of passengers stranded. That they, of course, were demanding his resignation then. And that was just one of those weird software things where both the main air traffic control system and the backup took a look at a flight plan, decided they didn't like it, and thought, well, we're going to shut down there.
But that shouldn't happen. You know, but you say it's one of these weird software glitches, but it shouldn't happen. And that's my point, you know. And also it took longer to fix because the guy who was supposed to fix it was an engineer who was working from home. So he had to get in his car and drive for 90 minutes before he could even start working on it.
Yes, there was, of course, a lot of investigation into what went wrong there. And two, I suppose, they would say, yeah, well, we had everybody on site, and so therefore we can fix the problem really quickly. Relatively speaking, they did. We're talking 40 minutes rather than many hours. Yeah. But with everything running at such a stretch, you get this delay domino effect, and things just unravel very, very quickly. Planes, pilots, passengers, cabin crew, all out of position, and getting them back is an awful lot of work. And there's for example, passengers inbound from Taipei who are still, I believe, in Frankfurt. They were due in last night. They'll get in at about tea time tonight because the pilots ran out of hours.
Oh, unbelievable stuff. Anyway, if I were you, I'd stay in Naples for a while, Simon, because, hunker down and enjoy the pizza. I think that would be my suggestion to you. Go and have a wander around, the Pompeii ruins. Keep you busy for a few days. Good to see you. Simon Calder there from The Independent. I mean, just incredible, isn't it? Emma Woolf's here. This is the thing, though. This is the attitude in this country is, we work really hard, we do really well. And when it all goes horribly wrong, they cut us a bit of slack. It's not our fault. I'm sorry, I'm not going to cut you some bleeding slack.
You are running an airport. Heathrow and Gatwick at maximum capacity. They are dangerously stretched. You can't have things just being knocked out for 40 minutes.
No.
Imagine you were having open heart surgery and the generator in the operating theatre failed for a bit. Like, that's the point. It can't fail.
No.
Or they need backup. There must be. It's a bit like when the release of those names for the Afghanistan cover-up. I was talking to a security friend of mine, a cybersecurity friend, who said, in my local organisation, and he works in local housing, he said it couldn't happen.
Right.
We have the systems in place that the software wouldn't allow us to release that kind of information. And it's that kind of thing that worries me about these kind of, these are this is national infrastructure, critical infrastructure. How is it able for a software thing to think, I don't like that flight plan and go down for a bit, like last August? How is it possible for this stuff to happen? How many, if you need 20 backups, I don't know how it works. Have them.
Right.
Have a team who are on site the whole time. It is that important. Because as Simon says, people are going to be all over, totally displaced. The cost in terms of hotel accommodation.
I bet you any money it runs all over the weekend. And imagine if you were just going away yesterday, say
for a long weekend.
For a long weekend, you're not
or
going
to someone's
now,
funeral, or to someone's wedding. This is real. This is people's lives, and when you can't rely on it,
I know. Absolutely shocking. This from Alan in Middlesbrough. 900 illegal migrants crossed the Channel from northern France yesterday. Isn't it time Starmer had another meeting with Macron to develop another agreement on how to stop this, even giving the French some more money? Well, that wouldn't be surprising, was it? Because he was telling Donald Trump only at the beginning of this week, I was signed a contract with France to send them back. And then he lied about how many people had been sending back, because he gave the same figure from last November, which he keeps giving because nobody else has been sent back. And he made out that these were people who had been forced to return to their countries, when that wasn't true, because actually most of them had volunteered to go back, and many of them were paid to go back. Right. So,
and also, Starmer's favourite thing is having a little bromance meeting with... it's embarrassing. When he meets with Macron and all of that pouring at each other and the hugs and the air kisses and stuff outside Downing Street, it's embarrassing. No more meetings with Macron. Wasn't it glorious when Donald Trump said, you know how many crossings and you know how many illegal entrants we had last month?
None.
0.
Exactly right.
That's how to do it.
This from Graham in Bushy. The UK air traffic control system, NATS, should be renamed NAF. Yeah, I think that's a very good one. Let's get a voice note for Nuts, is even better. Voice note from Kitty.
Morning, Mike and team. Kitty from Kent here. So I've got to go away to Manchester in a couple of weeks with work, and we have quite a low allowance for a hotel stay, which is fair enough because the taxpayer pays it. But I'm thinking, seeing as I live in Folkestone, I could pop down to Dover, get in a dinghy, come in on the shore, get shipped up to Manchester, stay in a 5-star hotel, take a hash masher, smoke some fags, and have a jolly good time. And maybe I won't even go to work. Or maybe I'll go to work and ask to be paid in cash. What do you think? Sounds like a life.
I think you've got a very good point there, Kitty. There's plenty of people doing it, by the way, so you wouldn't be the first to just, freeload your way through Britain. You probably get free rail travel as well. You wouldn't even have to pay for the airfare if you went by plane, if there were any planes flying, that is. We've still got plenty to do. Lots more stories to talk about, including 3 million jobless households now, apparently, in Britain, just in case you were wondering where all the money's going. And we've got to talk still about the Manchester airport story and the attacker who's found guilty yesterday. 6:49. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 6:51. I'm Mike Graham with you all the way through, of course, until 10 o'clock. We are the home of common sense. Breaking news, GPs are threatening winter strikes, believe it or not, now that the old junior doctors have come back from their 5-day strike. The GPs are having some of it. They've told West Streeting they will consider re-entering a dispute this autumn if their demands are not met. It's marvellous, isn't it? So not only can you not see a doctor now, you can't not see them because they're so busy. Now you can't not see them because actually they're on strike.
And it'll be nurses, and then it'll be ambulance drivers, and then we really will be in the upper Swanee.
Like a full house of medical emergencies.
Especially for winter, for GPs, when people have the sort of low-level kind of flu and things like that they get over winter, then they'll end up in A&E. The whole thing is a joke. And why wouldn't they? As you say, why wouldn't they? If they see other people getting 29%, nearly 29% over the last 3 years.
I know.
Why
the GP supposedly just got a settlement as well. Let's talk about the Manchester airport attack, though. Page 17 of The Sun. Guilty of attack on women cops. And this is a guy by the name of Mohammed Fahir Amaz, painted as a victim of police brutality, if you remember the way the story originally unfolded. A lot of Labour ministers as well under fire yesterday from Robert Jenrick, who said, you know, we need to know what side you're on, because initially when that first video came out, everybody jumped on it and went, oh, this is police brutality. It now would appear that Mohammed Fahir Amaz has indeed been found guilty on 3 counts of assault after studying hours of CCTV and body cam footage from the scene. Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Sir Stephen Watson, welcomed the verdict in respect of Amaz, whose appalling conduct, he said, has now been exposed to legitimate public scrutiny.
Amazing that it took them so long.
I know.
I mean, I hate to be old-fashioned. I was thinking about my father and what he would have said. Who on earth would dare to punch... I think the short footage that we've all seen on social media should have been enough to convict that man.
You would have thought so.
To be punching a woman, and I think one of the female officers actually had to have her nose like surgically realigned after that attack.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems to have taken them a very, very long time to come to the decision.
Yeah, exactly right. And so what was said yesterday in Parliament by Robert Jenrick said the police need to know we've got their backs when they tackle violent offenders. Because he said basically Lucy Powell had first of all gone on the attack over the police brutality. Yvette Cooper as well, the Home Secretary at the time. It's just very strange because their instinct, their assumption is the police must have done something wrong.
Of course. Sort of like the instinct to cover up Axel Cabana. We've just had the Southport sort of anniversary. Yeah. This odd kind of assumption that they're on the right side.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I mean, justice will be seen to be done. Amaz was 20 years old, remanded in custody pending a bail application today at Liverpool Crown Court. And then there's more kind of slightly complicated legalities around some of the other charges as well, which we'll learn more about as the days go on. But let's talk about another story which is in the Mail on page 8. 3 million jobless households now in this country. And that means that the people in those households, of all the people living there, there's no one working. Sick note, Britain.
About 40% of people living in households with no employed adults are out of work because guess what? They're sick or disabled.
Yeah.
I mean, either
it's
sickness
a lot of people, isn't it? 3 million.
3 million people out of a country of, what are we now? I was going to say 60-something, but we're
61 points. Well, I think we're closer to 70 than we are to 60.
Yeah.
But the official figure, according to what the Office of National Statistics is, I think is 61.8 or something like that. I think that's what they're telling us.
I mean, unless people have become significantly sicker and more disabled than a few decades ago, it is astonishing that you have so many households where children are basically growing up, seeing their parents, seeing family members not working.
It's an intergenerational thing, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, you know, people used to talk about the importance of getting up, putting on a suit, brushing your teeth, getting out of the house, going to work.
This number is now its highest level since records began in 2006, and it's partly ballooned because of COVID, right? There's a human cost behind the benefits. This is from Helen Whately, who's the Work and Pension Shadow Minister. There's a human cost behind it. Families dependent on benefits, children growing up without the role model of working parents, ever higher taxes hitting the pockets of those who are in work to pay for the benefits. That's the problem. So for those of us who are actually paying tax, and I was saying this all week, that, you know, unfortunately for those of us who work for ourselves, the end of July is payday for the HMRC brigade. You know, I've sent them bucket loads of money in order to keep myself on the right side of the law, and they're giving it all away to people who don't fancy going to work, and a load of migrants.
They really are. And, and another
I'm starting to get a bit resentful.
I am. I'm starting to get really, really angry about this stuff. And also when you see that even the public services you are paying for don't work. The state schools are absolute rubbish. The NHS is on its knees, as we always hear. But another thing that Helen Whately said, the takers outweigh the makers. Yeah. It's really, really true,
It can't carry on, can it?
It cannot.
Shall we finish up with one funny story, which is one funny story I found. King Charles has launched stylish tweed jackets costing almost £50 for dogs.
Not even funny. I'm not very amused with King Charles at the moment.
His royal harness is a good headline, though. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's fine, but he's not making me laugh at all. Lectures on LGBTQ in Windsor.
Yeah.
Telling everybody to take in asylum seekers into their home. I mean, yeah. King Charles is being a bit embarrassing at the moment.
Well, he is, perhaps so. Notice in a shop in Sandringham's Royal Tweed area says, Sandringham's loyal and trusted doggy visitors to the Royal Parkland have been the inspiration for this collection. Pooches in the Parkland can now look effortlessly stylish while enjoying a walk wearing an elegant coat made in Sandringham Royal Tweed. Does he get to keep the money for that?
I was going to say, I think he's got quite a lot of commercial ventures going on. They do spin out a lot of those, you know, royal endorsements, don't they?
Well, it's better than jam, I suppose. But I mean, yeah.
Well, Meghan's gone quiet.
She has.
I'm your Meghan specialist. I know Kinsey is, but I'm your Meghan specialist. And if Meghan and Harry pop up again, we need to talk about them.
I mean,
What's happening?
You say it's gone a bit quiet, but I think
the
she's got a new...
Netflix deal was cancelled.
she's got some kind of a new product launch going on, I think.
As ever.
I read that. Yeah,
or with Love Meghan.
Yeah, no, but as ever, she's got a new product launch.
What's the new product?
It says...
Is it disgusting?
Another new product coming to As Ever line, but it might be hard for customers to spot what's new with this one. Because it's basically it's some kind of new wine, I think, that she's bringing.
Oh, I see. And someone tasted that and said it was absolute vinegar.
I'm sure it wasn't great.
It was a bottle of rosé. You drink rosé.
I do.
It was a bottle of rosé. It was way more than a nice bottle of rosé.
Yeah.
It was sort of cost like $60 or something,
yeah.
and it was really, really unpleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want to buy some more of it, there's some more wine coming your way.
Amazing.
So look forward to that.
Look forward to that.
But yeah, so we've got lots more to do. Let's get a voice note from Tony.
Morning, Mike. Tony from Nottingham. Even J.D. Vance and Trump can see this in America. J.D. Vance has come out and said that Europe is committing suicide. It's not like we're committing suicide. It's like we're strapped to the chair and you've got people like Starmer and Macron circling us in white coats. That's what's going on. It's being forced upon us.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, is it? There's no great news out there today, I'm afraid.
There is no great news, and it is sad, and it's not that we're committing suicide, we're just watching our country being ruined, being slowly strangled.
Well, it's being sort of driven over a cliff by Keir Starmer and his hapless group of ministers.
I feel so powerless. This is what's so depressing. I think people feel very powerless at the moment. When they try and, you know, raise issues or talk things through, they're dismissed.
Right.
I don't. Yeah. How do we get change?
Yeah, you don't know better than they do. Oh dear, Keir, says Susan. I think he's a bit thick. He's blagged his way through his career. He doesn't know when he's being laughed at, and he thought saying Mayor Khan was his friend was a good thing. Heaven help us. Keep up the pressure. Yeah. Well, now Sadiq Khan, his good friend, is disagreeing with him about Palestine. So that was a waste of time. Emma, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Emma Woolf there. She'll be back again soon. We'll be back, of course, after the news. We've got lots more to do and plenty of people to talk to. James Price is here. We'll take more of your calls as well. You know what to do. This is Morning Glory.